Okay, this is nice. So we need microphone 2 here. I don't know who has the 2 and 3. Yeah, it's all about tech, so we'd better do it that way. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to those I haven't seen in between. I'm super happy to host this panel with a focus on female founding or female funding. We will have both aspects, definitely. And you might, I'm not sure who was here this morning, as I was literally killing you with figures. We saw that we had, on the one hand, very successful female-owned companies, female that are doing actually more with less money on the one hand, but still that we know that it is very difficult to find funding. This is why we're sitting here today, because if women-owned businesses receive just like 7%, we said this morning, of venture capital investment, this is highly disproportionate to their representation, I mean, in the society generally speaking. Additionally, we know that loan approval rates for female entrepreneurs is something like 15 to 20% less than their male counterparts. And even worse, if we have a look at the developing world, we know that the women out there have actually no access to financial institutions. They get super high interest short-term loans. It costs them a fortune, so they are actually like stopped in their progress. So if we have a look on the general level of what's happening, there is something really wrong. Consequently, we wanted to ask some questions to this wonderful panel with people who have been going through this. Why does the gender gap persist in obtaining new venture financing? Is there any kind of discrimination? Can we talk openly about it? Does it have to have with the underrepresentation of women, generally speaking? And we had a wonderful talk this morning with ICOs and new ways of crew fund your business. So it will be interesting to see, do we have new financing ways coming up that can be helpful for the future? So my 3 guests today are, I'm going to start with the first one here, Marie. Yeah, we should do it in French, right? Ce sera beaucoup plus facile pour nous. And okay, good. Okay, so Marie Amigues, she is the CEO and founder of Altagram. Altagram is a global multilingual game localization and audio production agency with headquarters in Berlin, but also in Seoul. And Marie has been growing her business up to 50 people, so it will be interesting to see this growth. It is a very growing multicultural team, and we will see that you are really like quite something, and you have been selected also as one of the top 10 women in management in Germany's gaming industry. So, I mean, this is quite a role model, so I'm very glad to have you here today. Linda, also super cool, Linda Kruse, who you saw this morning, who co-founded The Good Evil. I mean, I love the name. It can only be good. Which is an innovative game studio based in Cologne. And you founded this with Markus Busch, even if he's not there anymore. But okay, you had a co-founder, and together with a skilled team of programmers and designers, you develop games with a purple and playful experience. And you have great educational games for clients from institutions, but also companies, NGOs like Deutsche Welle, RTL, the Historical Museum in Basel, the Goethe Institute, and etc. Great range of good references. So cool to have you here too. And we have Ina Göring, the funding advisor for interactive, innovative audiovisual content project at the Medienboard in Berlin-Brandenburg. Medienboard, for those who do not know, which I am actually, okay, well, anyway, the Medienboard is the central agency for all matters relating to the media in the capital region, in the Berlin-Brandenburg capital region, and basically the first stop for creative professionals active in the film, the media, digital tech, media industries in Berlin and Brandenburg. Thank you, Ina, to be there. You will give your funding expertise to this panel, which is great. And actually, I'm going to start with you with the first question.
Hello. Okay, let's do it.
Yes, exactly. Tell us more, maybe, especially for such an audience much into games, digital tech, and media. What are their possibilities to get funding at all to start with, and then we will see for growth. But to start with, where can they go? Maybe beyond the Medienboard.
Maybe I start with the Medienboard because as it is here in the capital region and a lot of Germany. If you want to make a game project, actually there's not a lot of different funding sources for this. So it seems like for game projects, and we're also funding virtual reality, augmented reality, so anything that's innovative and interactive. It's basically only us. I mean, if you can go to banks, there's more programs, but they're bigger and they usually aim to grow the company. So we are specializing in content, the funding of content. So, yeah.
Right, I mean, in terms of funding, maybe you are indeed in an exceptional position, but I mean, do you see that the people coming to you have other sources for funding at the beginning? Are you actually accepting projects with other kind of funding, or do they have to be like completely broke and come to you, or how is it? I mean, are you keen on having companies which are like a puzzle in funding because they have also crowd investing, or they have a bank loan, or what do you appreciate?
So the nice thing about our funding program is that you can actually combine it with any source of money there is, any kind, from banks, from Kickstarter campaigns, your own private money. Also, you can bring your work basically into the project. But since we are not owning any IP, but we are like supporting, the project, and you can do what you want, but we're not having any share of it. In general, we're funding half of the budget. So you do have to find another source of money, which can be anything.
I guess you have to anyway, right? Linda, how was it for you? How did you get started financially? And did you go to Medienboard? No, you're in Cologne, right? It doesn't work.
Yeah, no Medienboard for us.
Fortunately. But you can open a branch here, Linda.
Unfortunately, but being based in Cologne, we have the North Rhine-Westphalian government, so we have the Film- und Medienstiftung, which is acting in a similar way. And I was very happy to receive prototype funding there, and that kind of got the company started. So without that, we wouldn't have been able to hire a full-time programmer in the beginning, and to really decide to make the step to say, okay, I quit my job, and in January 1st, I have my own company, and then let's see how it goes. So yeah, it was very important.
Did you have other sources of funding than this funding body?
We had because we planned to build the company half a year before we kind of submitted the papers to get to be registered as a GmbH. So we were talking to possible clients, told them, okay, we are graduating. We graduated our master in game design now, so we want to make games, like learning and educational games that are super cool, and you might profit from them. So do you want to hire us in any way? So we had clients that were interested. We had funding for the prototype, and had a little bit money saved, but that wasn't that much. Yeah.
Okay, but that's a good mix to start with. Marie, how was it for you? How did you get started?
Okay, so maybe I would like to go a little bit backwards. So I'm French, and I arrived in Berlin now 12 years ago. And the first company I created, I was with what's called Anacan, still existing. And at this time, I was with an associate who was based in France, a company based in France, and I had only 20% of the shares. So when I created the company in Germany, in Berlin, was my first experience. I was 30 years old, and I was super excited to be in Berlin. That's why I wanted to create a company. I was not speaking German, still not. I'm sorry. And so I started that, and I created this company, did everything, the image, the brand, grow the company very well. And about 7 years later, actually I was pregnant, and 5 days later of the pregnancy, of the delivery, the CEO from the French company sent me a nice email saying to me that he wanted to change my position from CEO to sales manager or something. So that was really
what you call a promotion, right?
A great promotion, a great feeling as well. So it was really difficult for me at this time, and I still managed for 1 year to continue the company. But it was really hardcore for me. So I was like, okay, I can't, even if I'm a CEO, I'm still having this issue that I can lose my job anytime, any moment. And that really germ inside my brain is that I was like, okay, that has to change. So when I created the second company, I own it at 100%. So there was no way I could have anyone in my company who could have any effect, anything could be done. Sorry, very emotive, I'm sorry. That could not do anything on me. So that was really the main important thing. The second thing is that, yes, of course, I asked to Berlin Partner is a great support for helping for subsidies and etc. To help me to get to do those requests for funding. And so I applied to GRW, so they help for 31% of any investment you're doing, so on software, on computers, and we have voiceover studios in the office, so that's very costly as well, on desk and everything. So you have to make the payment, but then you receive the reimbursement. And then I apply as well to microcredit of 25K. So that was
for creative entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I have myself some money as well that I saved as well, and family money. Yeah.
Okay, so also here we see a good mix is important. Different sources, different ways, different stories that we have here, but still a good mix is important. So going back to Ina, what kind of okay, we said already what kind of projects you were funding. Okay, you don't need to tell us statistics like I did this morning. We have enough of figures, but from the feeling, I mean, are you, especially in this interactive games field that you are in charge of, do you see an underrepresentation of women applying? Or do you see an underrepresentation of women getting the funds?
I think it all starts with the basis, like companies that are funded by women. Yeah, definitely, there's an underrepresentation. I would say roughly, like I said, we don't really count it, but I would say 85% is companies with only male CEOs. Then probably some more with a mixed team, like male and female CEOs. And actually, especially, you know, we're also funding virtual reality projects, which sometimes are like 360 video content. So people, producers coming from the film and television world, there's more mixed teams. There's more women already involved.
Right.
But like companies with that I work with for games companies, pure female CEOs. I think right now I know 5 companies, but like talking about companies that are, you know, eligible for our funding scheme. So, you know, like doing game projects.
You're right. Linda,
so yes, I know them all personally.
Yeah. Okay, so we see you. We can count them on the fingers, right? Linda, maybe shortly, do you have the impression for you as being a co-founder with Marcus at the beginning at least? Did it make a difference? Do you think it would have been different if you would have been alone? I mean, we were saying this morning also that it has been in the last years well advertised that companies with mixed teams were performing better. So this is something which, from the moment you tell an investor it performs better, they have dollars in their eyes and they look at you, right? So do you think it was a help, or do you think it would have been different if you would have been alone to apply?
Well, from my perspective, I think yes, it was a help because we are different characters, and it really helps in every way because you can like talk to each other, discuss problems or situations or decisions, and you really have a better perspective because you're looking at things from multiple sides. So you're more in the position to come up with a better solution because there's like multiple things that that you have a look on. But it as well raised like funny situations where we did ask for, or we were checking if we could apply for some kind of investment money program, and the second question in the getting to know interview was like, are you a couple? And we are like, huh? What does that have to do with anything? And no, I mean... And
we were asked this question,
yes,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like...
Imagine two guys funders coming for funding and somebody asks them like, are you guys a couple? Wow, okay.
So it was like, and that was like one of the moments where I was realizing, okay, yeah, some people really still have issues.
Definitely. Were you asked if you have kids or if you want to have kids?
Not in this interview, but it happens, yeah.
So very interesting, right? I mean, I don't even know if it is really legal, but that's another discussion. It's not, right? Marie, how is it for you? Do you think, I mean, especially you as being, I mean, even if we are Western countries, privileged expats within the EU, so which is one thing. But still, did you have the impression that being a foreigner still, founding in another country, did it make a difference? I mean, we know both that French accent is an asset, but even if we don't want it?
Yeah. I mean, no, Berlin is a very welcome city about foreigners, so never. Actually, I was even kind of used by Berlin as a CEO founding a company as foreigner. It was actually quite good, so never felt that. But I did felt that situation several times when I had my ex-associate. We were doing fairs, and it was always like, oh, you had an affair with him. And I was like, no. Why?
What?
Yeah,
I mean,
yes. It's like it's an explanation. And after that, there was always like when I was explaining, oh, I have this company, and in Germany I was very shy about it. And every time they, oh, but so you mean you have a shareholder? Oh, so basically in the mind it was, it's because you have this shareholder that is working. I was like, what?
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
This is incredible. Okay, well, I'm glad we have this panel to clear things in a very honest, authentic way, and everything we all wanted to know. But again, from your funder point of view, so to speak, and even outside of the Medienboard, obviously, are you observing these structural disadvantages? I mean, are you seeing, I mean, between funding bodies, maybe you hear these kind of stories, and you, and also as a woman, what is your point of view on this, and what do you think what could be done so that a better access to funding, an easier access to funding without any silly questions like the one we just heard, can be actually promoted?
So I would say obviously it would be nice to have like women and powerful positions that wouldn't ask you those questions. Like, I don't do it, and I guess you can't imagine me if I'm talking to the companies that are interested in our funding. Obviously, I would never ask my female funders those questions, because I think, you know, they're not... It doesn't make a point to ask them. So I guess it's very important to have, you know, women represented in every possible parts. And so it's important also, you know, for the not only funding receivers, but like for funding givers, to have women there that don't make a difference. Yeah.
We must say Medienboard is really like, you have a lot of women working there, so it's really good to see also in the funding body, like having female in management and deciding positions. So.
Yeah, and also I guess, I mean, I can share one story with one of the female CEO-led game companies we now have in Berlin. It's Tiny Crocodile Studios by Johanna Janiszewski, who just won Best Computer Game Award in Germany for her game. And we met not that long ago, just 1 or 2 years ago, at a nice low-key event, and where she approached me and said, this is the game I'm working on. And so I remember how she told me, you know, like she kind of dared to ask me because I seemed very approachable. You know, I wasn't like this far away institution, and I was very encouraging her because I know I don't have a lot of companies with female gaming CEOs. So it's like, yeah, it's a great project. come and apply, and that was actually the reason she founded her company, because she had this project, and we said, okay, if you apply for the funding, you have to have a company, like from freelancer, you have to take the next step to have your own company, and then she applied and she funded the company, and it all worked out, and now she even won the award, and you know, for the first project she actually did with her company. So this is a really important success story, and that's why I wanted to share it, because it's important to have role models. It is
absolutely,
so you kind of know it, and you can follow the footsteps, and and don't be afraid to approach people. Like, don't be too shy. You know, come up to me, and I guess it's the same for you, the same experience, right?
Yeah, great story. Linda, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, and I think it's as well a good example from the other side, because we had the question before today. Like, if you see somebody who's like really good and really wants something but is not so sure about it, like really enforce it, because that's when I look back, I had like a lot of people telling me, yeah, you should do it, you should pursue something, or really you're capable of doing it, and that kind of and like made me realize, coming back to the imposter syndrome, like that, yeah, I'm really, I can do it, I guess. Yeah, so it's very important as well from the other side.
Absolutely. I loved also the hashtag of Sophia just earlier, also like solidarity. So let's support each other. I think it's really good. Marie, I wanted to ask you, because you are maybe now in another phase of development, because you have 50 plus employees all over the world, I would say. So do you have obviously other needs in terms of financing, funding, and how are you dealing with this? Where do you go? To which door are you knocking? And
so no, my first rule is that since I don't want to go with investors, I will always only continue spending what I can receive, basically, and I do apply to other fundings, like public funding. So Horizon 2020 for innovation, I did apply and I get the phase 1. So that's still 50K. That's pretty cool to do.
It's difficult to get. So I mean, like,
yeah,
congrats.
I'm very happy with that. Then for Korea, where we so it's again I applied for some startup challenge, and the idea was just to do a pitch, to be honest. I win the thing over 1,500 companies, and so they support us, mentor us, and we can actually have an office there. So now there's people it's growing because of that. So I pretty much do it this way, like it's more organic, I would say.
It's cool. Tell me, I cannot resist to ask her the question. So you have 50 employees, right? How does it look like in terms of gender balance? Let's go back to the stats.
Oh, yeah.
So in terms of like, how many percentage women do you have in tech? Or absolute figures, as you like, and in management and in administration, maybe, if that's not too much asked?
So management, we are all of the 9 people, there's 2 male. I realized that recently. I was like at the table, I was like, wow, we had 7 women here. And we really
in terms of percentage, that's really
great. It's not made in purpose. It's just
something like 80%,
yeah. It's localization is still, like, although we are in the video game industry, localization is about languages, and it's very feminine. It's more women than men. And no, it's not more, but let's say that language will go more in direction of women, I would say. Games, maybe less.
In terms of studies too, if you have a look at the studies,
But still, like there's majority of women in the office, and admin there's it's equal, 2 male, 2 women, and the CEO, the co-CEO in Korea is a woman as well. Yeah.
In tech, pure tech.
So the audio lead, which I consider very tech to me, the audio lead is a woman, and there's two localization engineers and a male. Yes.
Okay, well that's fine. We need a male quote sometimes, right? Wow, that's impressive. Linda, how is it at your company?
We are 8 people now. There's like 5 women and 3 men. One is on parental leave. But yeah, that's how it is.
Cool. Well, that's good. I mean, that's really great, right? I mean, it works. You perform well, you're growing. Fantastic. I think we have we have 8 minutes with questions. I'm sorry, but I had to ask about the statistics a little bit. So we will have one microphone moving around, and I would like to see who has a question. This is a unique constellation and opportunity to ask about funding and everything you ever wanted to know. I mean, money is already a very difficult subject, so go for it. Anyone?
If there's no question, can I ask a question, but to the audience?
Yes, you go.
To make it a little bit interactive.
Yes.
Maybe can you raise your hands if you would be interested in founding a company? Like, you don't have to be sure, but like interested. Okay, that's very cool.
Higher, yes.
I mean, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 arms, right? Wow. So, okay, then I'm praising my program here. If you find those letters, all the information, and you can find my email address on that and some basic information, and find me and talk to me.
Okay, it's called advertisement, but it's a good one. If there are no other questions, urgent questions, no? Okay, well, I think we have a coffee break now. Linda, please.
Well, I mean, I have a theory. It's not very. I didn't thought of this for a very long time. But as you said earlier, you don't want investors, and that's exactly what we thought at the beginning. We were like, we didn't want any foreign money. I mean, public funding is okay because it's a loan and you pay it back if you can, and if not, that's okay. But we didn't want to be independent of any third party, like telling us what to do and being in either our creative vision, or that can, like, I don't know, teach us like be dickish and tell us what to do. So maybe it's as well the percentage that you gave at the beginning. It's not only because women may be underrepresented in being CEOs, maybe it's because they decide that they don't want to be part of that system because they have other ways to get money.
Right. I mean, it depends a lot on your business model, what you want to do, how you want to scale, and also depends on the match. I mean, I know VCs who are hands-on or hands-off, and I know some of those who are really like, you can feel they are partners. That exists. It's not, I mean, I cannot make a generalization, but that exists too. But otherwise, I know this feeling of being independent and not depending on like crazy goals, you know, to squeeze out of you know, like every single percentage of growth, you know. This is a very nice feeling, and this has no price, that's for sure. Marie would like to say a last statement to finish the panel. No, you're just saying like, yes, being independent. I mean, the first question I asked to Marie before we were speaking was like, so how did you start with money? And she's like, nothing. I did it. Yeah, we didn't want anyone, and etc. But, well, we were talking, we thought like, and I think it is also maybe a good sum up.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to, like you mentioning it, I think it's, we don't I was so excited to come to live in Berlin that I just wanted to make this thing happen. And getting associated with a company, I learned a lot because of that too. It's still like, I will never regret this experience. It's the most important is to actually not only be thinking of the money that you can get and how your project is going to finally develop, is the person you're going to be with. And do contracts as well. Like, I really recommend that because I didn't do contracts neither. It's to do something that you think, okay, how is going to be the future? And because it's not going to be just the money, it's the presence of this person all the time, and reports, and you know, and you have to agree all the time on things that you might not want to be, because it's your company, it's what you want to do with it. So that's the most important thing for me.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for the panel. I hope that you could take something out of it for you concretely. And we just want to encourage you, go and ask for what you want. Be independent and strong and believe in yourself. It's not all about the money, but it can help you to be happy with your company.
Thank you.